Right, it looks like we're live. Sorry we're a little bit late. Today has been a little bit rushed. I tried to get the stream started a little bit earlier than normal. As you can see, normally we start at 7:30, but I wanted to try, well, I'm thinking there's a chance we can get the first print in today. So I wanted to start a little bit early just to make sure we get all that little bit extra time, and hopefully we'll make it. Hopefully it has all gone live properly and audio is all functioning. Let me know if you can hear everything. I'm well aware that Virtual RepRap Festival is going on at the same time as this probably, so I imagine we'll have a few less people than normal, but nevertheless, it will stay recorded and it will stay on the channel, so if you want to catch up at a later date, then that's easy enough to do. Good. Everything is here. So, in case you're not totally aware, we're building the Caribou MK3s. Running through the instruction manual, as you do, building a printer. This is the fourth part, so if you've missed parts 1, 2, and 3, then they are also live on the channel, and they're in a playlist for Caribou as well. Of course, I have to give a thank you to Martin Stevenson, whose printer this actually is. Doesn't belong to me. He sent it my way first so that I can do this live stream, well, set of live streams and assembly for you. And it's going really well so far. I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully you are too. So thank you very much, Martin, for that. We've got Wolfgang in the chat. Wolfgang in the shadows. We've got Wolfgang in the chat as well. The owner of Caribou. So if you have any detailed questions, then he will be around at least in part, hopefully for the whole thing, and he'll be able to answer any questions you have. We may see 3D Gustner as well, who does the firmware modifications from Prusa over to this. So sometimes he's around too, but I imagine also very busy. So the reason I'm looking behind is I'm not just turning away from the camera. All the parts are, or have been, at the back. There's not very many left now. So not too much left to do. At the end of last stream, we did have a couple of issues with the assembly that we'd done. I did miss one M3 nut, unfortunately, so I had to strip apart the whole assembly and put it all back together again. But we're pretty much there now. I can't remember, I think there might have been another thing as well, but it was nothing major. It's just me not quite looking at the parts as I'm building them. One thing I had noticed as well, I've stuck some tape on the back here. Nothing's broken, but the one of the cables keeps coming out. I can't get the cables to stay in on the back here, so there's some tape there, but don't worry about it too much. Yes, I don't know, it's just difficult to get those cables in. I think if they were all like joined together, like those kind of seamed ribbon cables, then maybe it would be easy to keep them together. I don't know. Looks like we've got to get a belt in there too at some point, so don't know when that's going in, but we'll have to deal with that at some point too. Oh, looks like we've got Marlin firmware in here too. Good evening. I've forgotten what I'm supposed to be looking at. Ah, yes, instructions. Let's switch over to the super duper multi-camera view and we'll get this timer started. So this timer just records how much time I've spent building so far. Nearly 7.5 hours, plus about 8 minutes each stream because I keep forgetting to start it. But look, I remembered this time. Go. Excellent. So that's just going to count up. This is the seconds, this is the minutes, this is the hours, just in case it looks like it's not changing. So yes, obviously we finished off last stream with the back of the carriage, and I've done a little bit extra, literally just like 1 or 2 steps just to get everything bundled because having cables everywhere made it a nightmare to move around. So yes, obviously the start of the bundle is just the main set of cables, and then we've got these two for the heat end, the hot end or heater and thermistor, which we need to add in afterwards. So Yes, let's get on with trying to do that. So let's move this up a little bit and we'll finally get on with it. 2 mics. Is someone getting, is there echo? There should only be 1 microphone. I can't see, is anyone else getting it? Sounds like I'm in a cave. How do we have audio? I'm only getting 1 device. I think maybe it's just YouTube being confusing and silly again, because it's fine here. So I think what we want to do, unfortunately the way I've put this in maybe is not ideal. I've put it in with the seam at the top, and now we need to insert some extra cables, so it might have been better with the seam closer to the bottom, but I think we'll be able to get them in just fine, to be honest, anyway. Maybe not perfectly straight. I'm starting to think maybe I might turn it over. Let's do those zip ties again. We've got a whole bag of zip ties. It's a bit wasteful to have put some on and now take them straight back off again, but I think we should do it properly. Yeah, I'm hoping we can get to a print, but honestly, I don't know exactly how long this is going to take. That's a problem. Without having a good, like if we knew it takes 9 hours exactly, then we could determine how long it's going to be, but this obviously takes different people different amounts of time. Yeah, it sounds like the audio issue was just YouTube doing some weird stuff, because it was, I didn't make any changes, so. There's a couple of those, and then 1 more. I do kind of think this system looks a bit more robust than the original Prusa one, which I like. I like that this is more robust. It looks really nice and sturdy. Gives plenty of support to the cables, and they're nicely wrapped in this sleeve stuff as well. Right, let's see if we can get these 2 additional cables poked in here then. It's never that easy to add cables in. That's weird. Looks like we peaked at 60 viewers and then 20 left within the space of a minute. Bizarre. Oh, maybe that's where the audio was really pants. Thanks, YouTube. it doesn't say to do this in the instructions, but I'm going to just tie the these two cables together right here, just so I'm not pulling on the thermistor, because if I do pull on them, I'd much rather pull on the heater than the thermistor, so the thermistor stays slack like that. Oh, I'm really warm, so if I, if I look a bit warm, it's because I am. I've just finished eating dinner literally like 10 minutes ago, so. I mean, the cables are sort of in, they're just not like fully wrapped around. There we go. As we bring this through. Ah, 3D Gusto, welcome. I have no idea what's going on in football. I don't watch or observe it at all, so sure. The board is the Ultimate Machine one from Prusa. Not from Prusa, but made in collaboration with Prusa for the Mark 2s. Mark 2. Instead of a heat cartridge and thermistor cable, secure the cables with a zip tie. So we'll grab a zip tie around approximately here as well by the looks of it. Keeps them all together nicely. Looks like it makes this weird bulge. I think that's good. Sports ball. I used to play a lot of football when I was like a kid, but I never watched it for more than 10 minutes without falling asleep. (2-1) England versus Belgium. Well done us. Cut to the end of the zip tie. Make sure the heat cartridge and the cable are on the side of the heat block are above the nozzle. Be careful with the thermistor cable. Move the x-axis all the way up and the extruder to the left side. Okay, so we've got to do that manually, I guess. This is really difficult to do once the rods are a little greasy. How important? Surely it's not that critical that it's all the way up. I think it's just to make sure that you get the cables and stuff in the right place. Route the tube with cables to the INZ box. The TechFlex tube should now sit loosely between INZ box and extruder. Okay, we're all the way up. All right. So, control the board down here. I'm just sort of guessing. The TechFlex tube should now sit loosely between the ironing box and extruder. Remove the cable from the tube so that the tube only enters at the top of the box. Oh, okay, weird. What? Depends how much length you want, I suppose. I think there looks about good. It doesn't look strained. Everything looks in suitable position. Here's at the end of the TechFlex tube. A bit of flame and a bit of scissors to help cut this tube a bit easier. Yeah, I was thinking connectors would be better to do first, but because then you know what you've got to do. Cables look quite long actually, but hopefully, yeah. I mean, the thermistor ones are absolutely huge. Like a foot too long. Cut the TechFlex tube and nylon filament to length, don't cut the pinder cable. I'm going to leave a generous amount, I think, of this nylon filament because I don't think there's any massive disadvantage to having it a bit long. X-belt. Okay, so that's done with that lot for now by the looks of it. Feels a bit weird like jumping between assemblies. I feel like I want to plug that all in, but maybe it's easier to do it all in one go. So, oh, just smothered my hand in grease. Watching two streams is challenging. This is true. Thank you for your efforts, it's much appreciated. Right. X-belt. Start by inserting the belt on the left side of the X carriage. There's no sort of instructions on what bits I need for this, so presumably not very much. start by inserting the belt on the left side of the X carriage. So, oh, why did I turn it around? Let's spin it back again. Now I have to pull this back down again. Right. I'm going to need something to push that into the slot. Why could it be better than Prusa? Because this printer uses a lot of high quality parts, hence the more expensive price, and generally seems a bit more robust. Obviously, the result is a higher cost. It is actually super robust as well, like it's really rigid. I think it's my slightly wobbly table is not the best, but it is built like a tank. It's difficult to convey that sort of thing really on a stream. You really need to see it like in person and feel it and try and like wobble it yourself, but it's obviously not very easy to do. Carefully slide it in with a flat screwdriver. Slide in the belt tensioner, pay attention to the direction. Belt tensioner, insert the tensioner into the idler. Sorry, let's get this up here. Try not to get too much grease on the belts at the same time. Oh, it doesn't fit. Oh, there we go. And we're in. Now slide the belt through the lower part of the carriage. From here, try not to get it too twisted. Poke that through here. Now slide it through the motor holder and then slide from below over the pulley of the X motor. Oh, you fool, ladder. Idiot. Right. Cut it to the correct length so that the belt ends where the other part started. It doesn't have to be tight at this point. So we're going to have to take off a bit of this tape so we can access this area. Is that enough? Let's try and get it as long as we can. Excuse me. Do the belts seem good quality? Oh yes, Gates belts. It's actually quite difficult. Well, I'm not an expert on belts, to be totally fair, but it's quite difficult to look at a belt and tell if it's good quality from what I've seen. Obviously, you know Gates ones are good quality because they're freaking Gates belts. Like, they provide belts across the world for literally everything. Anything that's timing belts, Gates seem to be able to do. Eric, I've just seen your comment about having it built for you. I mean, it just depends what you like doing. I quite like building printers, so in that event, best for me to do it myself. Yeah, so I just tucked it in behind that. That's good. Put the filament sensor back into position. Use an M3 washer and an M3x18 screw to fasten the insert. For the moment, only fasten it by about 2 to 3 rotations. M3 washer and 18mm screw. So this is just in the middle of that X end part, and don't think that's not found that. Oh, that has. No. It's... What? No, I don't think this one is quite long enough for me. Just going to try it. Oh, I've got this thing all the wrong way around, that's why. 18 is this one. There we go. Helps if you get the right length screw, eh? Yeah, 7 hours. 7, can you believe? That's nearly an entire day. I'm pretty sure. I think, well, it's difficult to know because I don't build much stuff not on live streams anymore. I'd have to do one like completely without the live stream to know how long it takes me. But I think my guess is this would be maybe 5 hours so far, maybe 4 or 5 hours for someone who's like fairly experienced builder, but also not doing a live stream. Obviously, when I do that, like now, I'm stopping to answer questions, so it's just trying to work out exactly how long I'm building and how long I'm talking. 2 and 3x12 screws. When your printed parts sit loose on the rods, you may need to tighten them. Don't tighten them too much. Insert 2 and 3x12 screws. So again, this is into the ends where the rods sit. Mine were really tight, so probably should have turned this round. Yeah, let's turn it. I need to get myself like a turntable thing, I think. That would be really useful. So these ones have nylocks in, so if you're following along, you'll get quite a bit of resistance just from the nylock. You do have to go past that before it hits the steel rod, which I believe is what this kind of screw is sort of tensioning. LCD assembly. So we've got the Caribou panel with nice little kind of embedded, oh, I've failed there. There we go. Caribou text on it. Looking very nice. Maximum green. Let's get this in here. So it's probably best to take the yeah, let's take this off now. Just try not to get any greasy fingers on the screen. Place these onto the panel. Oh, this is so much better. For anyone that's built a Prusa, they know that this little assembly is a pain in the what's it, because these things are like normally like slid onto the LCD like PCB, whereas having them go over the top like this and screw in, nice. Much prefer that. I'm presuming I've not got that the wrong way around. Helps a lot if you get stuff the right way around. It tends to work like so much better. Still got it wrong. Let's try again. Let's get that one. There we go. Then that'll go on like that. Very nice. So place those on there, those on there. 4 M3 by 10 screws. Oh, let's get this down here. Sorry about that. So that's what that looks like at the moment. Screws starting to go in. Can you show the display? Is the model number of the LCD? I believe this is LCD, not OLED. Yeah, this is a standard LCD type. It's OLED. Message retracted. No, it isn't. But there will be from now on, right? Is that going to be the standard? I mean, from my point of view as a end user, it's very, obviously it's nice to have OLED. But I don't think that's going to, I mean, performance-wise, presumably very little difference. I presume that OLED maybe has a little better contrast and therefore looks a little bit nicer, but... Oh, it is an option. Yeah, I think we're good. We're good. Make sure that you hear a clicking sound when pushing the pin of the LCD and pressing the reset button. Yep. Put the control button. The control button. Ooh, this is going to be a pushy job. While pressing the button on the pin, press against the panel from behind. Carefully remove the plastic foil in front of the display. There you go, nice sort of spiky nailed knob. Doesn't have the kind of same thumb twizzly feature, but I guess we can get used to that. I think we're about to find out what the routing of the ribbons is like. Cable routing looks like the whole job. So it looks like this is not going on to the printer just yet. We're moving on to something else. Prepare the provided nylon filament and TechFlex according to table with respect to the model you are building. So 47 centimeters of nylon. That's of course French for nylon. I'm joking, I don't know any French. Well, that's basically exactly 47 centimeters, so I've nailed that, haven't I? Well done, me. Let's cut a centimeter off the end. Now we have 47 centimeters. 45 centimeters of 6.4 millimeter TechFlex tube. Is that this flat one, or is that this other round one? I don't know what the difference is. Oh, so this flat tube is going to be for that, isn't it? That flat tube will go on those flattish cables. Ooh, nice springy, nice. So yes, this is going to be for this. How much? 45 millimeters. 45 centimeters rather, not 45 millimeters. So that's the other round tube is the TechFlex. It looks like we've got a spare bit of belt in there. And the other piece of tubing stuff. Route the cable over the motor through the plastic part. Oh, we don't need this now, do we? Prusa Mini is a great printer if that size suits you. It's definitely great for beginners or people that are so kind of lazy like me as well, because everything's kind of done, so there's no messing about. But of course there is a bit of a wait time, so that is unfortunate. Just get a little bit more melting on here. Concentrate. Insert the nylon filament as well into the plastic part. So we're sticking that in there. Slide the nylon filament and the cable through the prepared TechFlex tube. Close the holder with the plastic cover. So we need to find this plastic cover. Well, that didn't take long. Ooh, sorry. This is not going to be easy, is it? I think we need to get this TechFlex on first. Let's melt the end. I don't recommend using your fingers, by the way, it is very hot. I mean, if you want, Ender 3 is just everywhere. But if you want a bit of silence, then maybe get the 32-bit upgrade board or an MKS, no, Big Tree Tech or Maker Base board for them. Okay, so now we've got that in, I'm going to poke the nylon through here, hopefully, and it will go through just fine, he says. I'm not managing to get it through. Come on! There we go. Now I've got that up. I can poke this in here, this in here, this in here. I've lost the nylon in the end of the TechFlex tube. No! This is not as easy as I would hope it would be. Well, put it this way, I'm finding it quite difficult. The TechFlex is just massive compared to this small hole that's supposed to go in. This is difficult, very, very difficult. Oh, there we go. I've snuck it on. Now quickly get the cover before I drop it. What screws do I need? M3x14s, let's get a couple of those. Oh no, and I can't get that. Gonna need to drill this piece. Oh no, we're low on power, that's not good. Let's see if I can find the power. Yes, this is the power thing. I'll plug it in when I stop using it. Hopefully then when we next need it, it will have plenty of power still. For ease in use, for like the balance between ease in use and cost, the Prusa Mini is really pretty good. Didn't I get 2 M3x14 screws out? I think one has rolled away. There's loads of them anyway. Can't imagine we're going to need all of those. Yeah, Caribou is on the pricey side. That's those, and an M3x10. M3x10. Not many M3x10s left. Yeah, I'm not sure that's not gripping anything. It's in, but the M3x10 doesn't seem to be. Oh, the 14s look way too long. That looks like I might have over tightened that a touch. Eee. What the hell's going on there? That's not super perfect. The geometry there just doesn't look like it quite matches up to what it's supposed to do. Apologies for the slightly overactive Streamlabs bot. Make sure the cable for the motor to the INZ goes loosely to the back of the box and cut off additional Tecflex tube and nylon filament that goes in the box. Ah, now you tell me. So now that we've got this, we can poke this down in through here again. Ooh, that's quite a tight fit. Why does this one not go to the... I suppose there's not much top space, is there? This nylon filament is not easy to cut. So heat the end of this Tecflex as well before it's completely disintegrated. Ooh, might have overdone it slightly. Good job, community, for helping. It's good, isn't it, how helpful people are? Don't you just love it? Extruder cables. Insert the Tecflex tube from the extruder into the top of the INZ box. Into the top of the INZ box. INZ box. INZ box. Into the top of the INZ box. Extend the filament sensor cable with one extension cable. It looks like these are the little extension cables. And this looks like an extension cable. It doesn't look like I'm going to need that. It only needs to go to here. Connect the terminal block to the cable of the extruder cartridge. Yeah, I don't have great tools for it doing ferrules, so I don't want to do it for somebody else's printer if it's not going to be. These are very, very long, aren't they? It's going to be a lot of cable to tuck away if I can't shorten it. Sorry. Apologies for the singing. It just comes out sometimes, and I know it's not particularly great. Question is ferrules. Do we ferrules or do we not ferrules? I think we do not ferrules for now, because I don't have the best tools for doing that. So let's stick this block on the end. Oh, that's a good idea. I can shorten it if you want, Martin, but honestly, my tools are not super great for doing that. Plug in the terminal block. Starting to make a printer. Route the cable on the left side. This is not going to be easy. There we go, that's nice and tidy. Go with the cable on the left side. Connect the cable of the extruder thermistor. It's got to be one of these. It's got to be this one. Also exceptionally long. That goes to there. Plug in the cable of the front fan. These are quite difficult to see for me. Just below the thermistor by the look of it. Looks like it's going to fit. Bosh. Nice click. Oh. These two cables are basically identical. I don't know which one's which. We may be swapping these around. Extruder fan is right next to it. Put this over the top of these. They're way more flexible. And what we're doing next, Pinder probe is down here, over here. Perfect length. Let's reach it slightly differently though. Let's get that under those two. I've just realised things in the wrong place. Sorry everyone. Extruder motor. Ah, it says for a Bondtech extruder, make sure the black cable is at the top of the connector. It isn't. So do I need to re-configure these cables? Do I need to unconfigure them and reconfigure them into the right configuring? Bondtech changed the cables. Hey! So X, Y, Z, Z, E is this one down here. Plug in the filament sensor cable. So this one I believe is quite important. So it's second row. Nice zoomed in picture just below. But the wiring's okay. I'm going to pause to make sure this is absolutely correct, because I know that it's important. This looks exactly the same as the picture. That looks good to me. Plug in the Y motor and Z motor cables coming from the bottom left into the box. Y and Z. Also super duper long cables. Oh, I don't know which one's is Y and which one's Z. So there's no markings. Right, this is Z. So that's going to go from there. This is then Y. This is going to need some serious cable management. And this is another Z, so that looks like that's going to come intrude back here, although I've not been told to, so maybe I shouldn't right now. But I'm going to anyway. Plug in the Y motor and Z motor cables. Plug in the white cable from the bed thermistor. So this was coming from here. Okay, it's not white, but it is the bed cable. Add zip ties. It's a bit of a mess. Apologies, Martin, your cable management is now a bit of a mess. And then red left, black right, so these are going in here. Just put the lid over it quick. Nobody look. It's embarrassing. Shall I just follow the instructions literally? Add some zip ties to make the cable management look nicer. Right. We stick one in here, one in here, one in there, one in there, one in here, and one in there. There we go. Looks much nicer now, like a bouquet of flowers. Ta-da! Cable managed. I did a couple at the bottom at the start, and then I might have given up a little bit. It'll be all right. LCD cable. Use the flat cable sleeve to cover the LCD cables. Right, we're on to this. Back to this now. I don't know what you're talking about, Gusner. They're basically the same. Spot the difference. When cable management improves performance, I shall change it. How about that? Oh, this is the downside of this. The INZ box is so tiny, isn't it? Have they improved the cable length since like version 1? Because my Mark III is one of the very first, I think. Didn't I get one of the very early ones for that as well? So like I made the assumption that my cables were at like terrible length because they just hadn't tested it enough to know what the right lengths were, but maybe they've just not made them any better. I was expecting that to be longer, but we'll see. We'll find out maybe why it's not in a minute. Push the sleeve open. It's tricky. I don't think... No, I've sussed that. Clip 2 LCD cable clips on the slot on the inside of the left Y extrusion. That's a lot of words all at once. But I think we've... Oh, I forgot to plug this in. I feel like we're not going to need it at this point, but I'm going to plug it in anyway. Do we need to start thinking about a model? What model should we be printing? Is there anything on the SD card that we can just go for that prints in like an hour, or are we going to have to slice something? Martin, you're welcome to choose something for the first print, as it's your machine, as long as we can print it in an hour. Yeah, the Z cable's not attached yet. I've not had the instruction for that. I'm assuming, because it goes through the same hole as this, that those instructions are going to be all together, and then it's going to be all come all at once. So we need to shift this a little bit. Push this slightly back, I think, is going to be ideal. Scoot this round. Ugh. So we're trying to go in along this edge here. We'll stick them in all facing up by the look of it. That's one. Clip 2 LCD cables on the slot on the inside left. And there's 3 in the picture. They're good little clips though, like those, very nice. Oh, secure the motor cable with the last clip. See, very clever idea. That's why you listen to the instructions before just going ahead and doing something. That looks reasonable. Pull out the LCD cable inside the INC box. Okay, this is weird. It's like route the cable and then we'll find out where to put it. Easier said than done. There we go, that's one through. Hopefully we can get the other one as well. So those are going up through that. Can you sort, and you can't really see. There's a box, and there's a hole rather in the bottom of the box. Not in the bottom, in the back, lower back of the box. I really want to put this on before we start routing everything, because I'm going to end up with them going in the wrong direction. This looks like it should go under, in which case that needs to go under there. "88 people, don't forget to like the stream if you've enjoyed it so far. I'm going to have a drink and subscribe if you want to see more things like this." Motor cable with LCD holder clip. Insert the LCD cable into the LCD holder clip. It's really difficult to do this with the bed in the way. Can we move the bed all the way forwards? Is that going to be easier? It's sort of in the middle, so it's difficult to get it. Route the cables in the box and connect to the INC board. I'm going to do this in a slightly different order because it's confusing to me to not put this in first. So two screws into here. We can put the screws in first because the holes have this like slot out the side. So I can't remember what size we need for these. That's the one. So we can stick that on here. Slide these out. No, a bit too far. So we're just looking down here. Thank you. These are not easy, are they? Glad I've got bullhead Allen keys for doing this. Doesn't need to be particularly tight. Plenty, that is great. Did I miss marking the cables? Mark one cable on both sides with 1 and the other with 2. Ah, yes, I did not do that. That is a thing that I didn't do. Thank you very much for pointing it out. So that's that one, so that's XP1, so let's put a one mark on this one, and a 2 mark on this one, and then we can, so this was, that's that one, so this one we can mark with 1 line, whoop, this one we can mark with 2 lines. Whew! Narrowly escaped that one. Let's just pretend that never happened. It's funny, if I was doing it on my own without stream, I would almost certainly read the whole instructions. I'm one of those people that does actually read instructions. But yes, evidently in this case, that did not happen. On the front of the printer, position the 2 nuts, M6x12 screws, attach the LCD holder to the slot, slide the nut in, do the same with the other side. Now connect the LCD cables marked with 1 and 2 to the corresponding connectors on the LCD board. Okay, that was already done. We can do these ones 1 and 2 on, okay, I can't remember at the moment. Oh. So the cables are, they must be labelled then. Okay, the furthest one to the left looks like P2, so that makes the other one P1. So it looks like there's a little P2 here, so I'm assuming this one is going to be P2, in which case cable labelled 2 shall be going there. There we go, cable labelled 2, and cable labelled 1 will be going adjacent to it. Terrific. Again, cables are a little bit long, unfortunately. Yes. This needs to go out over here. Snake this under here. Up over the top here. Down under there. And in. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This cable just kind of dangles. Let's just cool that. Yeah, you can see all that. That's all you need to see. Done. Next. Right. $3D Gus, now I'm pretty sure you watched. Oh, did you have a Mark II? You must have done. Yeah, I didn't. Did I? No, I didn't have an official Mark II. Mark III, not Mark II. My only Mark II is kind of a custom clone. Martin, question for you. Excuse me. Would you like me to do this? Because I've got build sheets I can just use, and then you can worry about doing the placing down, because I don't want to get it potentially greasy or like stuff over it. So I'll leave that. Unless you want me to, I'm happy to just leave that steel sheet as it is, and I'll use my standard Prusa ones, which are already pre-damaged. So then if I'm going to end up having mistakes and this hit this, then at least it won't be your surface. That's going to be the plan. I think we'll not do... Yeah, cool. So for anyone that wants to, that's sort of following along, I'm not going to be doing this bit. So we've got a Build-Tac PEI polyethylene, yeah, PEI build service. So it's got that little Build-Tac sticker on. Then you've got a spring steel sheet, or at least pretty sure it's spring steel. It's a bendy piece of steel. So that would be your build sheet that goes on your thing, and then that's your print surface which goes on the top of that. Obviously there are instructions there of how to apply this safely and correctly without making a mistake. But to prevent my greasy fingers getting on stuff too much, preventing any shipping problems or anything like that, I'm going to leave that alone for now. And I'll be going just with my old, slightly damaged surfaces. I've got a couple of new ones there as well. So, and then just in case the nozzle hits the bed because I've done something wrong, it'll damage this surface that's kind of old rather than a brand new one. Okay, so let's move on with the rest of it. The beds are not scratch proof because they are not made to print on nor any other purposes on the magnetic structure. Basically magnetically stick a spring steel sheet on to print on. These sheets are manufactured by lots of different vendors. Some of them have fine smooth edges, some have more rough edges. However, regardless of the edge roughness of the steel sheets, if you stick the steel sheet on the magnetic bed and slide it back and forth, you will end up with a scraped surface, which might reveal the thin copper wiring underneath. That's the point. What I did do on that Build-Tac surface, there was quite nasty burrs on the edge, so that would have caused issues if you, I mean, yeah, don't slide it on the PCB surface anyway, according to the instructions. But I've done a deburr on the corners of that, on the edges, so that's nice and smooth, rounded over-ish now. There are 2 pivot pins on the top surface and coherent top notch on the sheet. Align the notches of the steel sheet with the pins in question and slowly put down the steel sheet on the heated bed and do the opposite when your job finishes. Try not to slide. As mentioned above, due to continuous misuse, copper wiring beneath might reveal in time. If this has happened to you, try applying a thin layer of nail polish to cover the revealed part, or simply use Kapton tape for the same purpose. Right. Setup and calibration. Flashing the firmware. So I flashed the firmware, hang on. Never tells you to put this on. I'm also going to use this last LCD clip on the front here, in here, because I think that should be going in there. That will help that situation slightly. Oh, that's actually not very easy. Wait with the cover until you have done the self-test at least. You have exchanged thermistors or fans. What do you mean? I think the fans could be the wrong way around because they both come from the same place and I don't know which one's which because they're identical cables. Oh, you're saying because I shouldn't put the cable on, I think is what you're saying, right? Oh, put the cover on rather. Okay, let's not worry about it yet. Firmware. I have flashed the firmware like before the whole live stream, so we're not going to worry about that right now. Right. Looks like it's time to power it on. So that's inserted. Let's get the camera in place just in case the whole thing goes up in flames. At least it's on camera. I'm going to tidy a couple of things away. Yeah, I'm pretty confident I've built it okay. Okay, that's inspired much confidence. I meant well. I'm pretty sure everything will be fine. Sort of. Those can go away. That we don't need now. This can go over here. These can go in here. These can go in here. We've got about 100 zip ties. You're going to have a field day with zip ties, Martin. Right. Nine hours 20 total. What's the time? 8:30. Cool. So we should be in good time for approximately 1 hour print. It's funny you should say that. There's a fire station quite close to me. I won't say exactly how close, but there's a fire station quite close. So just in case, at least they're down the road. Right. It looks so good, doesn't it? Obviously there's still like little bits to put on as part of this setup process, so like it's not completely done, but I think for all intents and purposes we are calling it done at this point. In all its glory. Obviously there's like tightening of all these extra little bits, so we're going to go through and do that now by the looks of it. This is all just still firmware instructions. Boots up. Right. He's going to shout bang when I power it on. I don't want to reach around. I'll go around the other side. We're on. Yep. Firmware is all done. I think it was 391. Yeah. Whatever the latest one was when you guys mentioned it to me, that's when I did it. So this tells you to go and press no. Right. Caribou 320 Mark 3S. Is BE Belgian? Have I put Belgian language on there? B? It doesn't matter. I'm going to follow the instructions. You'll be taken to the info screen. Press and hold the control knob. It is a shortcut to the Z-axis control and can be accessed from any menu. There we go. Ah, B, E is Bontech and E3D. I see, very clever. Turn the knob clockwise to move the extruder up. Move it up until it has hit the top and it will make a relatively loud sound. Yep, done. This is so that we know the x-axis is level. Do we? Does it not hit the screws? Hopefully it doesn't hit those screws. It hits the plastic parts. Cool. Self-test. Click once to access the Z-axis control. Oh, it's already exited. Or is it in settings of calibration? Belt test, self-test. Self-test, here we go. I got them the right way round, yes. Of course, now it has the RPM sensing. It doesn't have to ask you if the right one is spinning because they can just, because the RPMs are different, it can sense, I believe. I know, it's going to ask me anyway. Okay, looks like I got them the wrong way around. Fan test, left hot end fan, not spinning. Front print fan, spinning. Oh, that is okay. Oh, maybe I did it wrong then. Oh, that's the Mark III that has this. This is... Oh no, that is... I don't know, I'm so confused. Self-test error. Please check axis length. Axis X. Was it hitting on this? See, I think there might have been not quite enough instructions on... I think there's quite a lot of points where it's like, don't tighten this now or do this later, but it doesn't actually tell you when to do it. So like this, for example, this cable for the pinder, I've not seen to this point anywhere that says tie it down. So I didn't tie it down. Now it gets in the way. And it needs to also be different to this. Hang on, let's sort this out. We've still got a bit of adjustment to do there. The sun-on fan cables are sticking out a little as well. Only a very small amount. I think it was hitting the cable here though. Of course, they're different to Prussias. Yes, of course. The Noctua is not Noctua. It didn't seem to hit the ends there. Thumb screws miles away, I think, isn't it? It's different plane, isn't it? Yeah, it's in front of everything. It should be fine. This is where I want to have this here, just in case it does something. Blimey, loads of people have just arrived. Hello, all the people that have just arrived. 120 odd people. Don't forget to leave a like. If you want. Checking bed. Oh, it's doing the heateroos. Yes, the little light. I don't have a light on mine. The LED arrived smashed. So I've never had a light on my Prusa bed. Sad times. I know I could just probably solder one on pretty easily, but I haven't. Likes, all the likes. Self-test, test this. Not spinning, yes spinning. In the self-check process, the printer will move the extruder down until the printer sensor triggers. In presence of the heated bed, make sure that the printer is above the dotted circle marked on the heat bed. If it is severely misaligned, the sensor might not trigger, causing the extruder to go into the heated bed. On the very first test of my Prusa Mark III, you can see on the stream the nozzle just goes straight into the bed, leaves a mark, and it's been like that ever since. Oh dear. Should this be the case, you will have to check all the parts involved to see if you have problem in assembling them. This is hopefully what you'll see. If not, troubleshoot the described error. We're getting there. After self-test, the printer will return to the main menu. Before turning off the printer, make sure everything has cooled down. Well, this is just finished. Oh. I'm just going to go wash my hands because they're a bit greasy. Back in 2 minutes. Sounds like you might be able to... I think the microphone stays connected, doesn't it? It doesn't lose connection in the bathroom, so you can hear me washing my hands. Proof. It doesn't have end stops, instead it uses TMC feedback. Exactly. Stool guard is the technology, and it uses the load angle. There you go. Top tip. I think I did a video on it, or I just did the research and never made a video. But it's pretty sweet. There's an issue with the Y motor. Why is there an issue with the Y motor? What's the issue? I can't see an issue. What's the problem, Mr. Wolfgang? Welcome everyone to the stream. My computer monitor's just gone off. Well, that's weird. I forget where all the settings are in this menu. Auto home. Oh, the belt doesn't look... It's home to the wrong direction, isn't it? Isn't it supposed to go the other way? Home is here. Didn't it? Well, I must say, that's not my assembly issue, is it? What's happened there then? Yeah. But you know it's not an assembly issue because the cable can only go into the connector one way round. So, it's also wired exactly the same as all the others. Oh! I think the thing that holds the belt to the bed might be on the wrong way round. If it's symmetrical, you can put it on the wrong way round, and then the belt is going in the opposite direction. So it's not the electronics that are wrong. It is my assembly problem. You see how I successfully diagnosed my own problem? Oh man. I'm pretty sure that's it, isn't it? Because the wires are all wired the same as the other connectors. Like, they're all blue, red, green, black. So it would make no sense to rewire the connector. I'm pretty sure I've made a boo-boo there. Right. How's going to be best to do this? We're going to have to... Time for a bit of surgery, I think. I'm going to use a couple of these printed parts that are spacers to space things off while I tilt the whole printer over. There you go, now it's all supported on the frame basically, so we can operate on the base. So this is the problem, right? If this is on the other way around, then it'll grip this side, which is now going in the opposite direction. Yep. So we need to What a strange issue to have, eh? Oh, sorry, you probably can't see what the hell's going on. I'm a little bit in the way. Let's come around the other side while I do this. For some reason that's not going to loosen. There we go. It's a bit over loosened, but okay. So yeah, I don't know if there's an easy way you could indicate. The part itself looks kind of symmetrical as well, doesn't it? So design-wise, it'd be really nice if there was an easy way to show, but obviously I just went with something and wasn't correct. And it is quite a weird one to diagnose, that actually. What's going to be the easiest way to do this? Probably going to have to take this out the end. So we need to flip this around. So this goes this way, and this is over here. That's fine, that should work. And then we just put that straight back on. Oh, let's get this over here before we do that. Pull this bed back over here. Okie dokie. Hopefully now we can tighten this belt back up. Of course, now the belt alignment is also slightly off. So we're going to adjust that a little bit too, by adjusting this idler very slightly. We're going to have to move the motor a little bit too. I think we're kind of moving them from going sort of like this to this, so one has to go this way, one has to go the other way. But it's only like a smidgen, a very small amount. That's what a smidgen is, in case you didn't know. that's nice and loose-ish. Oh. Right, we're good. Now we need to tighten everything back up again. Certainly would have produced some quite interesting prints. Okay, so that's now nicely aligned in there. To put some tension back on this belt. It doesn't slide very easily in the gap, so. That seems about right. Oh yeah, follow the wizard. Yeah, this is a, I guess this is a do as I say moment, not as I do. Wolfgang Shadow was signed up. Sorry, Wolfgang. I can't unhide the message. Streamlabs. Oh man. I need to try and turn it down again. Turn it down, tune it down. Yeah, it didn't even give a reason. It's just like timed out. Oh no, refrain from posting links. Yeah, I can see the message. It was only other option is black, otherwise logistics gets too difficult. There we go. Now we have all the information. I don't know how it thought that was a link. Oh, I think it's because the username is Dr.Jekyll. Because you've got a dot in the username, it assumes it's a link. Which is weird. Oh, because it's a dot with no spaces. So if you're typing a sentence, you have obviously word space, word dot space, and then new word. So presumably anything with a anything with two words with a dot in the middle and no space counts as a link. Try not to test it too hard because you will just get, it'll just like permaban you or something. Did it do it? Yep. See ya. Oh, Martin, you're gone as well. It is only 1 second at least. Oh dear. Yeah, I think, well, for me, it says message deleted, so presumably it does for most users as well. Right. Now that we've reconfigured that a little bit. Ooh. Let's see where they are. Whew. So where were we? Let's do an auto home. Just to check everything's now going where we expect. This definitely needs more attention, doesn't it? Yes! Yeah, names. Oh, if you have your name with all caps and a dot in the middle, you're gonna get banned just for talking, right? So, turn off the printer. Can do, sir. Loosen the pinder clamp and push the pinder sensor up by about 5mm. Presumably that's just an arbitrary amount to get it out of the way. So now the nozzle is below the pinder. Loosen the pinder clamp and push the pinder sensor up by about 5mm. Turn the Z motor screws counterclockwise at an even rate so that the nozzle nudges the heat bed. Dust touching. Set the distance between the heat bed to about 0.6mm. Although we recommend using a thickness gauge, you can also use the thinner pointy part of the zip ties we include in our kits, which is also 0.6mm thick. I'm going to use the zip tie method because feeler gauges are all greasy and nasty. So that's now, hopefully you can see that. The little zip tie piece basically just goes underneath the tip of the pinder, and you push the pinder down onto it basically. Giving it a wiggle as you do so just to make sure it's not caught on anything else in the process. Turn the printer on again, press the knob once and scroll down to settings. I've not done the top of these yet. They're still sitting there loose because I've not seen an instruction for those. Just a check with the main name as Bob thinks it is one. Blimey, why are there so many people? Oh, the sound went away. Did it go away for everyone or just for some people? YouTube has issues with sound sometimes, so if you just refresh the page, some people had like echoes and stuff earlier. It seems to be fine, yeah. Yeah, YouTube just doesn't like my audio for some reason. Sorry about that. It says it's excellent, but then still chooses to drop me off. 150 people and only 61 likes. Let's see if we can all hit that like button for funsies, eh? It wants me to go to settings, move axis. First move the Z axis all the way up where the axis reaches. $69 likes. Nice. This stream is being massively recommended. The concurrent viewers just go like this. Has a Verf just finished or something and people are looking for more things to watch? First move Z all the way up. When the axis reaches the top, it will make a cracking noise, which is normal. Make sure that both sides have reached the top. If not, turn the printer off and go to the step again. This is very important. It ensures the Z X-axis is parallel to the bed. The number in the display is not important. Next, move the X-axis to the middle of the axis. This gives us some workspace for the next step. 666 likes. From the main menu, select temperature, select nozzle, set the temperature to 250 by pressing the knob twice, go back to the main menu until the printer reaches the target temperature. How are we looking for the view at the moment? We've got 6 cameras, 3 cameras, so we should get something. 230, 240, 250. 71 likes, that's still only halfway. Let's keep going. If you don't like it now, I'm going to sing again, and you don't want that. What was I going to do? I'm going to need tools. So this looks like hot tightening step, so I'm going to get out my appropriate gear for doing such a thing. I don't have like a... What's the best torque device people have seen for nozzles? Because I've seen like plastic ones, but I don't want a little plastic... I want like a thing like this with a torque meter thing on it. Maybe I'm just being fussy. There you go, adjustable wrench. This is what I have to do. Yes, this is that Halford's Advanced. I don't use it very much. The thing is, I've got this fancy Wira one, but it's not like there are plastic parts on it. I don't know what temperature they're rated for. I don't want to stick it up and plug it up with plastic. So this does the job really well for nozzles. Although the problem is it's difficult to get the torque right. Right, I am going to turn this around for this process because it's hot nozzle and I don't want to get it wrong. And hopefully with it round a normal-ish way, I'll be able to get it correct. We typically get a temperature error with this because this just conducts all the heat out of it before too long. So we're up to 250 now. Set the temperature to 250. There you go. For the next step, you'll need wrenches 16 and 7. Parts that expand at high temperatures, we must retighten the nozzle and block. While doing this, also straighten the nozzle block so left is slightly angled in the extruder assembly. Be careful to not turn it clockwise too far. Oh, it wants it slightly angled. So, being very careful, obviously. I hate this adjustable wrench, but it's what I've got. It already seems very tight, which is not what I was expecting. Something's not right here. It's still wobbling. That's what on earth is going on. No, it's not a mosquito. This is tightening. The nozzle doesn't want to tighten anymore, but it's not blooming tight. It's all still wobbling around. No, none of the cables are loose, but when I tighten the nozzle up into the block, it gets tight, but it's still wobbling. The heatsink is positioned properly. The heatsink's fine, it doesn't seem to be turning. But for some reason that aluminium block, the nozzle's getting tight into the block. That's way more torque than it needs. You sure it's... I think it is tight because from what I'm seeing much closer, this is really odd. I've never had this before. The heat break looks like it's in fine. Yeah, two of you saying heat break isn't tight. But I'm sure it is. I know, it is moving. How are you supposed to tighten that heat break in properly though? left it in there tight, so I've just got to heat it up again to cool it down. Oh dear. Well, this is not ideal, is it? It sort of would, Martin, but it'd be a mess because the heat block is just all over the place. Right. Yeah, the nozzle's not going all the way in, so the thread obviously is narrower than the like the hex part. The top of the hex face is not hitting the heat block, so I know, well, unless there's something stuck in there, which I can't imagine there is, then I know that the nozzle is hitting the heat brake. So that clamp is right, the force is right, but the heat block is moving. The only way that that could be happening, if those two are jammed up against each other, is if the actual heat brake is moving in the heatsink. The thing I don't like about that heat brake from the E3D design is that there's no mechanism on that to A, hold it in place, or B, tighten it. For a start, the heatsink, the heat brake is obviously very thin collar in the middle, so if you apply too much force, you will just break it. And there's nothing you can put a tool on in any way to hold it, to screw it down. So yeah, it's a bit of a, I mean, I don't know how many of you looked at E3D starting to discuss V7 and what they want to try and achieve. That looks like it's a long way off. Something intermediary might have been nice, but I guess we've got other hot ends to tide us over until then. Doesn't the heatsink lock the heat brake? I mean, sort of, but not really. Like, all you do is tighten it in with some thermal paste. It's not even thermal adhesive. Dragon hot end. Yeah. Thing is, I've not done enough testing on mine. I've had two for a long time now. I just not had time, or not found the time to test them thoroughly. I'm not totally sure how good the quality is, but I mean, that could be something. It's obviously a fairly easy drop-in upgrade. Well, it's a drop-in change. Don't know necessarily that it's an upgrade. So I'm going to do something a little bit sneaky. Instead of disassembling the whole hot end, I'm going to just remove the heater cartridge, but in order to do that, I do want to have the whole thing cool down a bit first. I'm going to pop to the gentleman's place for just a couple of minutes while this is cooling down. It's at 100 degrees and I need it to be cold before I can use it. So I shall be back in just a couple of minutes. You'll barely know I was gone. Audio has returned. Yeah, sorry about that. So it's down to 48 degrees. It's still quite warm, but hopefully that'll be cool enough. I don't recommend what I'm about to do, so don't do it. Oh darn, I was hoping that would have spin off, but it doesn't. No! God damn it. Okie dokie. I was going to try and cheat, but it looks like no cheating is going to be allowed. What's the easiest way to get to this? There is no easy way. See, if there was just like a flat mark or something in the... Yeah, you couldn't do that, could you? How am I going to do this? Okay. So my theory here is to save me dismantling the entire extruder, I can do this partial assembly and it will allow me to tighten the heat break. I think that heat break now looks reasonably tight actually. I've used science. Maximum science employed. This looks much better now. Let's give this a go. Oh, that's not in yet. Yeah, we finished it, and then we're just changing bits mildly. Maybe I should have kept it going. Oh, the heater's not in properly. Let's not do that. Let's Excuse me. Sorry, belching down. It's not very pleasant. Better out than in, I always say. I don't, but apparently that's a thing. Whew. So going back up to 250 now. I used the kind of mechanism of tightening the nozzle against the heat brake with the block and then rotate the whole lot to screw the heat brake back up into the heat sink. All these heat-based words. So hopefully now, when we get to tightening, it will tighten just fine. We are a little bit off book now, so and still there's a silicone sock. I don't think there is a silicone sock. Pretty sure there's no silicone sock. Right, 250 degrees. We're golden. See how much that temperature dropped when I had this steel what's it on it? It just absolutely plummets. So that should be, that's solid. Cool. Just do a quick reset. Reset button just turns all the heaters back to cold, and it's just easier than turning everything back down. So again, temperature's back to 0, and it will be cooling down again. Yeah, I wouldn't call this a clone. I mean, technically, it's based on the Prusa. Yes, sure, but it's not like a rip-off. This is definitely an enhancement. I wouldn't say it looks identical, like none of the parts are the same. From a distance, obviously, it resembles a Prusa. Like, there are many parts. It's all... You can tell that they're connected, absolutely, without a doubt. I don't think anyone's disputing that. From the main menu, press it up once, preheat, cool down, wait till it reads below 50, install the sock, make sure the sock is positioned not over the cables but under them. Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% certain there was no sock, so I've never seen one. That's also correct. That's kind of the point of open source, right? Install the fan shroud. Make sure that the radial fan exhaust is properly seated in the shroud. Use an M3x12 screw to fasten the radial shroud. Yeah, I mean, it's all just terminology, isn't it? If you're calling a clone anything that's based on a Prusa, then yes. But if it's a remix or enhancement, upgrades are all probably more appropriate words. I can't get the fan in the doobly. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, Captain. I can't get it in. It's sort of closed, but it's definitely not in. It's on the edge. Martin, when you get this, you might want to double check this fan alignment, because I think the shroud needs to be cut a little for that. The fan is not quite in. It'll be good enough for now, I think. But I don't know, I think it's because the fan enclosure is not quite snapped closed properly. Hang on a minute. Something's not right here. I can't quite see what it is. There we go. And now it fits. Yeah, the little plastic enclosure that makes the two halves of the fan just wasn't quite snapped together quite right. So just had to wiggle it around a bit, and then it's nicely joined and sits in the fan duct perfectly. I have no idea how much it was. It's not mine, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to Martin. Martin doesn't have to tell you how much he spent on it. You can go to the shop, Caribou 3D. I believe I put a link in the description, so based on what I've seen so far, yeah, they're pretty cool. Because I do enjoy using my Prusa, I use them all the time. So having a Prusa but sort of a little bit upgraded, maybe a little bit more durable, but still being able to use like those original profiles or maybe enhance them a bit, that'd be pretty cool to me. XYZ calibration. Yeah. What? Okay, I'm going to assume that the that these nuts need to be tightened now, because we're just about to do calibration and it's not been mentioned yet. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten them, because calibration won't be very successful if this is wobbling all over the place. Icky. Oh, I didn't put it in as a hyperlink. Sorry, that was lazy of me. I can't change them during the stream. $1 million you can buy. You can buy a lot of anything. Oh well, you can buy most printers for $1 million probably. Okay, so now we're going to do XYZ calibration. I kind of want to put the cover on. Where's the instruction for putting the cover on? I don't mind taking it off again, but the cables are all sticking out all over the place. These upper left and upper holes. And 3x22s. So let's do these first. This is pretty cold now, it's less than 50 degrees. Cooling fan's gone off, so we can... I probably should have turned it off before putting the plug. Oops. Not too much of a problem though. This is going to be quite a push to get this all on, I think. Well, these are not going in. Or are they? No. I think this one did. I think I might have forgotten some of the nuts. Maybe they didn't stay in. They're in there. Okay, let's try again. Am I making another Prusa clone? What, you mean like right now? No, this is a Caribou machine. Am I in the future? Probably not. I don't really know. Probably not, but maybe. These don't seem to be the right size. No, can't get them out now. Okay, that's not all the screws in the enclosure, but it's enough for everything to kind of sit tightly and securely while we finish everything up. Right. Where's this power cable got? On. What's the time now? 9:45. Right, what does it want me to do? Let's go back up. XYZ. What do we reckon? Perpendicular? Perpendicularly perfect? Or something a little bit off? Let's see. That's the top. Did the stream just pause just then? No, okay, we're good. Oh, my neck hurts. Please clean the nozzle. Well, it's brand new, so I'd say that's probably clean enough. Is it a yes? Please remove. Place a sheet of paper under the nozzle during the calibration. I need a piece of paper. Don't use a piece of paper with ink on it, Adam, because that makes a mess of things. Here we go. 1/4 of a piece of A4 paper. I'm going to straddle the printer now. No, maybe the other way. Makes some weird noises, doesn't it? If you'd have mentioned earlier, Gus, now I should have, I could have linked it up. I think I'm hearing a loose screw somewhere. That's right. I can hear loose screws. They talk to me. That's all right. I've been using Prontophase a bit more recently. It's one of those tools that's just been around and basically unchanged for so long, but at sometimes it's just incredibly useful. I'm surprised there's not more tools like that. Like, it just does the fundamentals of connecting with the printer super well. Sorry, it's just the angle of that one. So for those that don't know what it's doing, I'm not an expert, but in the bed, as well as the copper traces for heating, there's small little circles with, I believe, thicker parts of copper, or just copper circles. It's kind of like the same trace, but it's a specific circle, and it uses that with by running a sensor over it, and it basically is detecting the position of these 4 points, and then it can use that information to change. It's kind of like, well, it's changing the skew of the printer. If your axes are not quite aligned, so they're kind of like this, then when you're trying to go straight, you actually go this direction. But by measuring the point of those 4 holes that are on that bed, you can kind of bring that back into alignment. So either that way or this way. So that's kind of what it's doing. They're not sloppy rods, not at all. There's just a lot of lubricant in the bearings. They were fully packed, so I would expect a fair amount to come out. So I believe now we switch to having the metal bed, and it does 9 points on that. Please place steel sheet on the heat bed. Try not to catch your fingers onto it. Measuring reference height of calibration point 1 of 9. I feel like I'm fading. perpendicular. Boom. Nailed it. Filament sensor. The self-test only checks the electrical presence of the filament sensor, but not if the mechanics is working. From the press a knob. Okay. What was it? Support. Sensor info. NA, that doesn't probably look like it's what we want. Oh, apparently it is. Insert the filament by about 1 centimeter. Looks like we need some filament. Should have a bit of that. My filament collection is a mess, I'll tell you that much. What should we use? I just wanted some blue PLA, but I don't know where. Is that going to be? Hopefully this will be enough for a print. I mean, we're not printing yet, but... Oh yeah, sensor does change to 1. You can't really see that, can you? What about that? It's probably a bit far, the camera's a bit far away from it. It does work. Promise. Bloop. 1, bloop, 0. Pull out the filament sensor and reinsert a couple of times. Fasten the filament sensor cover with 1 M3x10 screw. Okay, I'd already done that. Loading filament. First we need to assemble the filament holder. Done. Aren't we? Is there more parts? Ah, that's what this little green thing is. One M3x18 screw and 1 hex nut. Oh, that's not trivial, is it? Trying to get this. There we go. So that in there, put it through. So that's set in place. I believe that probably goes on there, and that goes on there like that. .88, 11.76. How's that? Using M6x12 screw. .06. point offset, 1.69 millimeters, 1.39 millimeters, and that's all. Don't know how much, if there's going to be enough filament to do much, but hopefully it is. Preheat for PLA. We're going to need a print. Martin, what are we going to be printing? As it's your printer, only seems fair. We're going to need to, unless there's something on the SD card which we can select from. We've got a little bit more calibration to do, but obviously we're pretty close, so. So we've got a 30 by 30 calibration cube, a low cube wide, an owl, a 13-hour PLA thing, polycat, a whistle, and the assembly manual, which is we don't really need right now. I don't want to do something too quick. I can always leave it going. I'll go get some toasters. Go get something to eat. Yeah, we got first layer calibration first. Should we do a live stream where I just use this to print a couple of things? I don't want to delay it too much for Martin, but I mean, is that going to be a bit long? It's probably going to be a bit long, isn't it? There's not a lot for me to do in that. Filament extruding and with correct color? Yeah, just about, sure. Preheat to PLA. Cut the end of the filament. Okay, a bit late for that. Wait till the printers reach temperature. Insert. Wait a few seconds. Select no. Okay, okay, whatever. In the calibration, select first layer calibration. PLA. First, the nozzle will be way too high. Move it down so the nozzle doesn't print mid-air, but also doesn't touch the heated bed. With the way we position the pinder sensor, a negative adjustment of about 1 millimeter is as expected. This bed's going to be a bit unpleasant, I think. As I said, it's quite an old bed. In fact, no, it's not the original bed. I don't know if I have the original bed anymore. The original gold PI bed I used to have. That's a BQ bed. That's a brand new textured sheet. That's another brand new textured sheet. That's glass, and that's for the Mini. The one on my Prusa at the moment is an old-ish and damaged textured bed. Bed heating. What I probably will do, Martin, is a video comparing this to the Prusa if I can, in some regard, see if we can get some comparison prints. Seeing as all my thumbnails say like a Prusa but better, I ought to at least test that, I think. That's probably a good idea. I mean, it's quite, oh. I don't know how objective that test will be. It'll be quite subjective, I think, but hopefully interesting for those that maybe are in the market for it. Blue tape? What, for the bed? No. That's not quite as much negative as I was expecting. Looks about right though. It still looks more on this side than it is on the left. If anything, that might be a bit too much. We'll go for the whistle for the first print today, I think, and then I'll try and do some more comparisons during the week, and maybe we'll do a quick video on it. And maybe if I still have it next weekend, and then I'll ship it the week after, we'll maybe have it printing during next week's live stream, so we can get it printing. Although I'm going to need another camera. Oh, there's so many cameras. I really wish I could live stream and people could like select the camera they want to look at, or like arrange the windows how they want to. So if you want to look at specific parts but don't care about the manual, you can put something there instead. Okay, that's way too close. That's okay. It's in the ballpark, and we'll sort it out on the first print. So let's get this SD card out of here and into here. Here. Ooh, that's a bit tight. I think the let's try again. Whistle. Now I've not cleaned the bed, so I'm kind of just hoping it'll be okay. Let's try some IPA quick. I don't recommend ever doing IPA while the bed is hot, but I'm going to do it now very quickly. My live streams are 7 PM-ish, 7-ish, or 7:30 British summertime on Sundays. So about this, well, yeah, 7:30 on today, but weekly-ish. Sometimes I start a little bit earlier. Today I started at 7 o'clock. And that was just purely because I wanted to try and squeeze in a print today. But normally it's 7:30. It just gives me a bit more time to have some dinner at a reasonable time. Because otherwise I end up eating dinner at 6 o'clock and then I'm starving in the middle of the night. No, it's GMT +1 because we're British summertime. Oh yeah, you're right. By next week there won't be. British summertime stops the 14th, I think. So we're back to GMT 0. We're on 140 people. Blimey, Up to 90 likes. See if we can get it past 100 likes while we're on the first print. There you go. Just had to get the oozy filament out. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're an hour ahead. Yeah, 10 past 10 here. That's PM, not AM. That's good. So I'm just gonna live adjust, and we're gonna bring that up just a bit. The first layer looks a little. Why is it all the way over there? What? How come it's not in the middle? Whatever. I was just expecting it to be in the middle. It obviously doesn't really matter. It's nice to use all the different areas of the bed, get it to wear evenly. But oh yes, sorry. Yep. I get so used to having so many cameras that when I should be pointing them around, I forget about it. That's the one I really need to move. Obviously, top just tends to go where it goes. Tell you what, I'll do you one better. Seeing as we're on the print mode now, let's see if we can turn this around without it. It's probably going to ruin the print a little bit, but not too much. Move this camera a little bit in. There you go, that almost looks professional now. Looks like I've done this before. You have to keep calling it a Prusa clone. I thought we'd been over this. How long is this one then? Oh, very quick. 30 minutes remaining. I thought it was 3 minutes remaining. I thought, blimey hell. An entire whistle in 3 minutes. A huge thank you for your printer, Martin. Thank you very much. It's been great to be able to assemble it. What a monster of a machine, eh? Probably a good time for me to thank everyone actually. So thank you, Gusner, for moderating the chat and being here to answer questions too. Thank you to Wolfgang for again spending time being here in the chat, updating me with any technical details with screws I'm using of the wrong length and things like that. Pointing out that my homing went to the wrong direction. Of course to Martin for the machine. For anyone that missed the my notice I do at the beginning, this is not my machine that I own. In one of my streams maybe a couple of months ago now, I mentioned that I got a bit fed up of doing like printers that have 4 screws because I quite like the assembly process, and Martin very kindly offered me to send his Caribou machine to send his Caribou order here first before going to him, so I could do the assembly on the live streams. I think I might have said that name wrong a few too many times now. Quite a lot more than 4 screws. Yeah, but what process is, this is what I like about 3D printing, the fact that you, by doing this and learning the whole assembly process, you're looking at and handling every single part. So you look, like when you're handling the bearings, you look in, you can see all the balls, and okay, well, that's how it works. The little balls are rolling, and that's how you get a smooth linear slide. You you have the bed and you can look at it and you go, well, look, you can see it's kind of this FR4, this kind of layered material with the magnets in the back. That's how it holds the sheet down. You can see the PCB traces up close, but you don't necessarily get to look all that. Or what's more, I think when you look at something just like this and you're new to it, all you just see is everything and all that is complicated. You don't get the time to look at stuff closely. But as soon as you're into assembly, you can really take your time, look at every single part. All the little details are there for you to enjoy. Look at those cameras. Closing the box. While we're here, let's finish putting the remaining screws into the box. Probably not wise to do this while the printer is running, so I wouldn't advise it. But, you know, I do what I do. Do as I say, not as I do. That's the one I'm looking for. Seems to be that 25mm screws work a lot better than 22. 22 seem to be too... Oh, I've just put another 22 in there? No? Yes, maybe? No? Of course, thank you all for watching. That seems to be missing a nut. I can't really make recommendations for this printer at the moment. I mean, the build process has been fantastic. That's probably maybe not the word I'd use. It's been fun, but the manual can do with some improvement, but I believe that is on the way, so I can't really recommend it until I've used it significantly, and that's unlikely to happen. I'll do some testing between now and next week. I mean, that print quality is looking pretty sharp. $97, $98. Oh, back to 97 likes. $100. Thank you, everyone. Very much appreciated. I think we need an extra zip tie around these thermistors and stuff. 199, 100, 109. Well, we're up to 103 likes now, so that's fantastic. Not a single dislike, really. It doesn't actually show dislikes on the... there's like a live dashboard for when you're streaming a video. It only shows you likes, it doesn't show you dislikes. I think last week's one, we had like 2 dislikes before even starting the video. I should apologise as well for anyone that was waiting this morning when I accidentally, again, set my live stream for like 5 minutes from the time that I started. The way that it works on YouTube is really daft in my opinion. You can use, when you go to like set up a schedule for a live stream, you can choose to select from a previous live stream of, yes, I want to use those settings again, please. So of course I select like part 3 because I want everything to be the same. And it sets all the description and title and everything to be the same. But it doesn't set the time to be the same. It just sets the time for whatever time it is now. Which I can see why you would do that, but when I'm selecting one, because I want it to be the same, please make everything the same. And then I can change things that I know I want to be different. So that's my excuse for getting the time wrong multiple times. Because I copy the settings over from the previous week and it doesn't copy the time. I feel like we should have printed something in green, but I don't really have any green filament. The only thing I do have that's green, I think, is Mystic Green. So I went with this blue, which is the blue I use for all the testing at the moment. Yes, thank you everyone. It's been very pleasant actually. It makes my job and Gusner's much easier when it's all just very simple and pleasant. Streamlabs is like, if there's a dot with no spaces, there you go, that's it, you're out. I suppose it's only 1 second, but it's quite funny how it doesn't really know that it's a link. But I suppose it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to know what exactly is a link and what is not a link. The fact that it's based on Prusa is actually a really good thing, by the way, in case you were wondering. Because they've done so much work with getting firmware and settings and slicer profiles and all that kind of stuff sorted. Because it's all based on that, you can just use their firmware, use their slicer settings, and you're basically like 90% of the way there. And there's like huge numbers of filaments set up. Like, as soon as you start changing everything to make it different, you can't use all of that, and then that's even more work. It's just unnecessary. The hot end in this is a standard E3D V6. But Caribou can be fitted with a Mosquito. Oh, the difference in the printed parts is huge. These ones are way heavier. Printed much more densely, so you don't have the kind of, the original Prusa ones are quite thin because they're obviously like basically doing mass production, so they're trying to use as little filament as possible because every gram in theory makes a difference. Copied Prusa, I mean, I don't think anyone's trying to pretend it's not based on Prusa firmware. Like, 3D Gustus literally helping with both. This is the whole point of open source. If you have a problem with people using other people's stuff, then I'm not sure you're fully understanding open source. It enables modification and upgrades. What you shouldn't do is just take it, pretend it's yours, rename it, don't give any credit, and then sell it. That's not good. How are we doing? 17 minutes. Looks like the surface is stuck just about fine. Even though I'm not sure I really wiped that corner because I was expecting it to be in the middle. I think we can just chill now. Everything's just going. How much has it actually improved? Like everything, nearly every single part on the printer, from my perspective, is improved. Which is why it's not a clone, because nothing is the same. It all looks similar, but nothing is the same. The wobbly nozzle, well, that's just an assembly issue. That's not anything Prusa designed or Caribou designed. It's a V6. That's just what it is. Their upgrade is that there's a freaking Bondtech extruder, all SLS printed, and you can have it fitted with a Mosquito as standard. Can't do that as standard with a Prusa. Both companies have their place, evidently. I think this is priced at a point where you wouldn't be able to do mass production. It's just a little bit too expensive for most people to want to get into. Even the Prusa, a lot of people say is expensive. So you don't have to mass produce on the same scale. I didn't get his talk. No, I'm annoyed that I missed it. Presumably all those Verve streams are going to be available publicly afterwards, so I can tune back into it and find out. Yeah, I need to find those streams. I didn't participate much with Verve, to be honest. I wasn't. I just wasn't prepared, really. Normally I will go and talk to vendors when it's like a specific event, but I didn't do that this time. There you go, 3D Custom Inserter link. Thank you very much. Oh. Excuse me, everyone. As you can see, I'm quite tired. Man, people love their Core XYs, don't they? If I'd have... I designed Steve as a Core XY printer in like, what was it, 2016? If I'd have actually tried to sell that then, like I was planning to, it seemed like there was some interest, but it didn't take off quite in the way I'd hoped. So I just stopped. But I reckon if I'd have kept on with it, it would have by now been super popular. But there you go. I think, isn't Prusa XL going to be Core XY? So by the time that comes out, everything else will be largely irrelevant, probably. 12 minutes remaining. Ooh, making my neck hurt like that. I'm sure Prusa XL will happen eventually. It's just everyone's obviously got stock issues and that sort of stuff at the moment, so nobody can really launch anything. Unless you can get reliable products delivered to your production line, there's no point launching a product. It's kind of unfortunate, but it's the way it is. It does print. Kenneth, it prints. It works. We did have some little assembly issues that I've had to overcome, but they were, I think, mostly my mistakes. But we're pretty much there. We're printing a small PLA whistle at the moment. Excuse me, sorry. Can't stop yawning. Yeah, using this Ooze Nest Royal Blue PLA. It's such a nice blue, I really like it. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to launch anything for at least the next 6 or 8 months. It's just the infrastructure has just disappeared in a matter of moments. Ooh, got the table good then. Green's the new orange, my friend. Half the stuff I've printed at the moment has all been in orange because I have so much of that blooming orange PETG that Prusa made for PPE. Because it took so long to get here, I had to order it kind of in advance so that by the time I ran out, I had spools I could immediately use. But that means at the point when it stopped, and I'd placed an order like a week ago, I had like 10 spools arriving that I would then just not need to use. So, yeah, had loads of that PPE orange. Used quite a good chunk of it by now, but also quite a chunk still around. And there's bugs flying around. We're almost the same number of likes as viewers. Obviously, we've had loads of people come and go, but we're up to nearly 110. Can we make it to 120? Has anyone here not liked so far? 111. Oh, by the way, there was no video last week. You probably noticed if you like to watch them straight away. Yeah, I just didn't manage to get to it in time. I wasn't totally happy with it as it was, so it's going to be going up probably this week or maybe even next week. I'm trying to get in a bit of a... I've had a few other things to deal with basically, so some changes, but we should be getting there. Metallic blue. Oh, the The Das filament metallic blue. I used to have some of that. Was it metallic? I'm pretty sure it was a metallic blue. That filament looked really good. I don't know if I even have any parts on that now. What on earth happened to it? Gone. $114. Are you doing this as your main job? Sort of yes, sort of no. Not really. I mean, it doesn't. There's very little income. So I'm a contract engineer as well. What's the next printer test in the pipeline? Do you mean, oh, like printer test as in video? Oh, I can't tell you that. That's spoilers. It's quite an interesting one. I can tell you that much. I really wanted to try and get a super volcano from E3D, but there's none. They haven't got any. There's none in stock. I'll probably do a side-by-side between this and the Prusa Mark 3s, yes. I think that's a reasonable way to evaluate this machine. Just got to find out which prints I'm going to do. How's the Mini holding up? Really well. That's kind of my go-to at the moment. It sits in a little cabinet. I don't know if you can see it off the corner of the screen behind me, over here. Because it's in a cabinet, it doesn't really get dusty, so there's nothing settles on the bed, so it stays clean, which is really good. I mean, obviously that's not a property of the printer itself, but yeah, it stays in that cabinet. Power supply is obviously outside, so that helps a little bit. Because it's obviously on a cable, it only delivers DC to the actual printer. So yeah, absolute trooper, that machine. Keep printing with it all the time. Right, we've not got long left now. Looks like 4 minutes. It started to do the bridging for that top area. What do you like best about the Mini? Oh. I like the fact that it's like a Mark III, but the interface is much faster. It still has all the auto functionality, spring steel bed. It just does all the things that I expect from a basic printer, whilst also having all the profiles ready. You kind of don't have to think too much when you want to print something. You go, I want this please, go, and then it just goes. You don't have to worry because other printers that I leave around, sitting around, or in weird places, or have to move them here and there and everywhere, the beds go out of alignment, and it just becomes, I again end up going to a printer, I have to change the filament, re-level the bed, calibrate the nozzle height, and it's just like, I can't be bothered to print anymore. With that, it's just kind of, I set it and I leave it, so it just kind of goes, and when I want something, it just starts again. I just leave the same filament in it the whole time, pretty much. Yeah, it's, John, in comparison to the Mark III, it's kind of similar. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper and the build volume is smaller, but both of those have great usability, so really worth. Any recommendations for a printer larger than 320 by 320? Not sure, to be honest. I don't have all the printers I have that are that volume or larger, I've basically done myself. So can't really recommend anything. I mean, I can't really recommend the CR10, but that's, I mean, that is that 3, no, that's 310, isn't it? So yeah, not sure really. I think because as that size goes up, the price goes up, the Chinese companies tend not to get too involved in that region because they want to keep the price down. And it's difficult to do that as your volume gets huge. You start to have like really poor quality. What's the price difference between this and the Prusa? This is quite a lot more. Like, if Wolfgang's still around, he probably has the best answer. I think it's like, is it $1,000 upwards, whereas the Prusa's sort of around $800. But obviously this can have more and more upgrades, so you can have the 10mm rods, the OLED screen, the Mosquito hot end, and those are all add-ons which add price. I think the most expensive model goes up to somewhere around 1,700 euros or something, 1,500 euros. I'm not too sure. Verf has 2,393 views and 107 likes. You have less views and more likes. Yes, go team. Well, they have 2,400 views and only 100 likes. Interesting. Well, that's how you do that then. Almost don't need to remove it from the print bed, you can basically see it. Yeah, it's not that much more, but it is more. Cheapest Caribou is 731 euros, blimey. I was expecting more than that to be. Oh, well, that came off remarkably easy. Oh, I think it was already coming off. That's fine. This is not the proper bed, by the way. This is my this is my old Prusa bed that I used, and I haven't really cleaned it properly. Yep, it works. Looks good. It's not much of a stress test, to be fair. It's quite a simple print, isn't it? Can't really zoom in anymore. Yeah, Caribou can be full kit. So this is a full Caribou kit, from nothing to everything. Kit or assembled. All the options. I'm pretty happy with that. That looks a pretty good print to me. As I said, it's not particularly complex. Oopsie daisy. But it is also very uniform. You can see warping here, but that's my fault really. I mean, this is a kind of dirty old bed. I'm kind of surprised it stuck first time, considering how poorly I've treated it. And I was expecting it to sit in the middle, where it's probably a bit cleaner because I tried with some IPA at the start. But there we go. Whew. What an adventure that's been. Some challenges in the assembly, just due to some instructions that need to be developed as the designs progressed. But other than that, pretty bang on. And the fact you can get this extra height, that's pretty epic. To be fair, a lot of what I do is quite small, but I think as 3 3D Maker Noob did. We'll try some busts that are kind of narrow and tall, so we can try and do a nice large print. Use up some of this filament. I have such a hodgepodge of filament, it's all over the place. There is actually some pretty cool, well, I can't say anything yet because it's not confirmed, but we should have a pretty cool printer coming up. I've talked with them, they seem happy to send one. They wanted to finalize some things before sending it to me, but it's a pretty epic looking kit. If we get that on here, I'd be super happy. You guys would love it. Is that just lost focus from that part, or is it just... No, I think it's just the compression. You just don't get the same level of detail once it's gone through YouTube processing. And I need to cut my nails. Anyway. Oh, my jaw hurts from talking so much, I think. Right. I think that's probably it for today, boys and girls. Thank you very much, Gusner, for moderating. Very kind of you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Wolfgang. Thank you very much, Martin, for the machine. Print a Prusa on the Caribou. Or print Caribou parts on a Prusa. Oh, it's all good fun. Wonderful. Okay. We are going to be disappearing now. That's it for today. Been a long one, been a good one. This has been the Caribou Mark 3S. I'm going to try and download the streams and try and put them into a long video in case anyone wants to try and watch the whole thing in one go. I mean, it's basically an entire day, but maybe that'll be easier for people to watch the whole thing. It has been a good ride, hasn't it? Some ups and downs, some challenges, just with assembly instructions. Everything else was fine. Yeah. Don't know what more there is to say really now. The end of an era. It's not quite. 4 weeks of assembly. And we made it. Bit of testing, and then we'll be shipping it off to Martin, who can really test it for its entire life. Good night, everyone. I shall see you next week, and maybe in a Wednesday video in the meantime. I shall see you all very soon. Goodbye.